I'm going to start today with Sarah Terrell. Sarah Terrell is going to be calling into the program in a little bit. Sarah Terrell went ahead and she has been following the Houston Independent School District and all the shenanigans that's been occurring over there. And she is present at the meeting. She is a community activist who has always earned her wings by being a part of a system or by I should say by challenging the system when the system goes awry. She's a friend of mine, and I could not be more proud of her. You know, when the Houston Chronicle did an article about her, they called her a grandma gets. Well, we're going to talk about that, but she ain't look like no darn grandma. She's an activist out there working for all of us. She's not sitting back in despair. She's actually engaging and making a difference. And that's what we're going to talk about. So without further ado, let's go to Sarah Terrell. How you doing, Sarah? Welcome to Politics Done Right.
Thank you, Egberto. Thank you for having me on your show.
Well, look, let me tell you. First of all, I want to say we are all happy that you're out there watch holding down one of many people out there, but you're engaging in holding down the fort at HISD for all that it's doing. So first of all, in short terms, tell me what's the issue with the Houston Independent School District?
Well, we have been taken over by the state, and that happened in June of 2023. So we no longer have any kind of electoral influence over what happens with our school district at all. And of course, the state put in their own superintendent, Mike Miles, who we've all heard of by now. And he's using HISD as the giant lab for his giant experiment in education reform. And his brand of education reform is that he believes that children are widgets that produce test scores, and he can mass produce these widgets using the same process for every single widget. So every single student is subjected to exactly the same sort of mass-produced learning experience, and it takes individuality out of the classroom for both the teachers and the students. And of course, I know everybody's heard about this by now, but the first thing that he did was take the libraries out of the schools that he used as the targets for his new learning model, which he calls New Education System, or NES, if you've heard that term. And nothing really could be more symbolic than the loss of the libraries, the loss of that creative space of sharing knowledge in a creative way. So that's how he views
Now, Sarah, didn't he
education.
convert the library? Didn't he convert the libraries into detention centers?
Yes, but more like study halls. Originally, they were called detention centers, and then they changed it to learning centers. But basically, they're study halls where the kids are completely quiet and they work on worksheets, and that's so kind of like the kind of study halls that you go to for being punished.
Now,
Kind of like
isn't it also
uh,
true that his model, he's tried it in a voucherized system in Colorado and I think certain parts of Texas, and they were not resounding successes at all?
well, and I don't think they're voucherized in Colorado that I know of. What he has is a charter school system that he started.
I meant charter. That's what I meant. Charter, yeah.
Yeah, after he was kicked out by the elected board of trustees in Dallas ISD in like 2012 or 2013, he went off to Colorado and started a charter school system. And I do believe he uses basically the NES style learning mode at his charter schools. And no, they're not that successful because in Colorado they're losing students to the point where they were losing money. And so that's when I think many people have read by now that his Texas branch, which is newer and so hasn't started losing money yet, was basically sending money over to Colorado to keep it afloat. So that's been quite a scandal that Texas taxpayer dollars intended to land in Texas schools and be used to help Texas students were flowing across to Colorado,
Now,
just to keep
now,
Colorado schools from going under.
Now, Sarah, one of the things is that we can sit down here and complain about all these things that are happening within the school district and just be victims, or we can actually do something about it. And one of the things that I respect about you and others, in the case I'm featuring you, because again, something happened recently that is beer talking about, and that is you went there as you normally do to listen to them. And you had a few choice, not bad words, but choice words for them, and they got you arrested. Tell us a little bit about that in sort of short form.
Well, I go to most of the HISD monthly meetings. I've been doing that for many years. And you can have your moment of speaking 1 minute. And on this particular night, which was the January meeting, I did that. And the board was deciding on something really important, which was they were going to approve $1 billion worth, $870 million worth of contracts in retroactively without any real review because Miles asked them to do that, which is completely just like an abdication of their fiduciary responsibility. So they came out of closed secret session after 2.5 hours and voted to do this, which we knew that they would do, but it was disappointing nonetheless. And then the next moments they were reading off a list of properties to sell, which was kind of very much a 1-2 punch of here's some horrible things we're going to do because we don't have to answer to anybody. And that's when I yelled at them, "You are so disappointing." And then I yelled, "You are the most disappointing people." And I said something about, "Why don't you sell the Hattie Mae administration building while you're at it?" And they started, hustling me out of there in a bit. And I didn't make it easy for them because I dropped to the ground. And so then they handcuffed me. And I was very surprised by that. I thought I would just be forced to leave. But no, they escalated it. And they arrested me and for trespassing, not for disrupting, just literally straight up criminal trespass. And I, had to go downtown to jail and the whole bit. So it was pretty hideous. It was a tremendous escalation on their part for just me saying, "You're the most disappointing people."
And that is how autocracy works, folks. We have an autocratic independent school, Houston Independent School District, assigned by the governor. All the people who were voted in as board members, they were disregarded, and now the government controls our board through Miles. And anybody who talks about it, uh, uh, Sarah Terrell put her body on the line to say, no, we want to have input in this, and for that she got arrested. But luckily, tell us some of the results that have occurred thus far.
Well, I spent I spent 18 hours in jail, so that was pretty punitive, I have to say. And then the case was dismissed. I think that you guys talked about me on KPFT, and people were writing into the DA's office, and I think the DA was like, "This is really not a good case to be pursuing." So the case was dismissed about a week later. So that was good. But then the next month came along, and by the way, thanks to everybody who emailed and took part in that public outreach to the DA's office. And then a month later, I was signed up to speak at the next meeting in February. And I really thought they would stop me at the door before I tried to get into the boardroom, because they have a security agent who warns you and stuff before you go into the boardroom. And I fully expected to be stopped there, but actually I got stopped by a letter. An email came that formally advised me that I was already a trespasser. So for the safety of the learning environment, I was prohibited from going to any HISD facility, including like a school, to pick up a kid or attend a play or anything. And especially, I'm not allowed to go and speak publicly or participate in the public board meetings anymore.
In other words, you were banned from being able to participate as a tax-paying citizen of the Houston Independent School District, which is sad. But the one thing that I want to stress here to everybody that's listening, Sarah Terrell, she looked at a problem, she participated, she engaged herself, and what I am most happy about the outcomes thus far is that as an activist, the one thing that an activist wants to know, people that are putting themselves on the line, is that the community who they're serving has their back. And that's one thing. And Sarah just pointed out in her thank you to the community at large, because especially in these times, we don't we don't have to back down. But for those of us who put our bodies on the line, the community must be there. And the community, I want to tell you, Sarah, will always be there for you as you continue your I don't want to say fight, but the necessary activism with a rogue Houston Independent School District. So we're kind of out of time here. So I'm going to ask you to give me a quick 15-second closer.
Well, I just want to say, having your free speech stymied as they've done by banning me from the properties it just feels really sinister and kind of scary. So, we're in danger of losing our voices in terms of public speaking and free speech. So I would encourage everybody to do more than just have other people's backs, but go out and speak yourself and use your voice, your public voice, while you still have free speech in this country, because it's possible that we won't always have that to the extent that we do now. So it can be a little bit scary to lose it, especially as in my case, I've not lost it completely, but there's a dent in my free speech rights already. So I feel like I can say now from experience, we need to treasure those rights by using them right now.
Sarah Terrell, before I close here, I want to say, folks, those of you who can go speak at the board meeting, go speak and make sure each one of you say, release Sarah Terrell from what you have her on right now. She should be able to go speak to that board freely. Every single person that goes up there and speak should have that word at the tip of their tongue. Sarah Terrell, thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right.
Thank you for having me, Egberto, and thank you for everything that you do.
You have a wonderful rest of your day. All right. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.